Hello and welcome again to another episode of Breathe. This is live. Today I want to talk about something we've all said at some point. Why in the world is this happening to me? Maybe you say it often, maybe only sometimes, and when we hear it, we can start believing that the world is against us or that we must be unloving, unworthy, or failing somehow. But today I want to dive into this belief pattern with you. I want to offer you 3 exercises, 3 very powerful exercises to explore if this is truly your own blockage or if it's just a story you are carrying from the outside world, from somebody else, and how you can begin to release it. I recently experienced this myself. Not as a thought from me, but as something I heard from others, and it did something with me. I had an issue with my teeth, and I found a new dentist just 20 minutes from my home who could fix everything easily, perfectly, and quickly. I felt such relief and joy. For me, the situation was 100% positive. A problem that could be solved, healed, and released. There were no fearful thoughts, no lingering worry. Everything connected to this issue felt resolved. And I was happy. Yes, I was happy, even it wasn't a joyful walk and easy peasy. Dentist is never fun. And it wasn't easy, but it was such in a flow. It was a flow. It was, everything went through almost by itself. There was no pressure. There was no blockage. It was just in one flow. But the interesting part, a friend of mine saw it completely different. Through her eyes, the same situation was filled with pain, frustration, and a deep, huge anger. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. The same story. And this shows us something very important. Our perception tells us whether a situation is still a blockage in our system. If you react with anger, fear, or judgment, it often means your subconsciousness is still holding into something unresolved. If you can simply observe, watch, and let it pass, it's either already healed or it was never truly yours to carry. And today I want to introduce you into 3 simple exercises. Doesn't matter which situation, if it still triggers you, here are 3 simple exercises to overcome it and to transform it. And here is exercise number 1. The exercise number 1 is write a letter. And when someone shares the story and you feel involved, notice what memories, images, or feelings arise. Sometimes we carry so many memories, emotions, trigger points from our early childhood, from our teenager years, or even from our young adulthood. And when we allow those memories, those situations become a part of us, we need an exit. And one exit is to write them a letter. Write a letter. Write it down on a paper. Write everything down. Write the emotions down. Write down what you felt when it first happened. Write it down how you felt it. How you felt it back then. And also how you feel it in the here and now. And write down also what you needed back then. Maybe you just needed a hug, a loving word. Maybe just that someone sees you and from whom you need that. And when you have write down all that, the entire story, what it was back then maybe as a closing, write a paragraph for yourself, from your current self to your earlier self. For example, let yourself know, back then, nobody was there to give me exactly what I needed, what I wanted back then. But in the here and now, I can see myself as my little self, my inner child, my inner child. And now I give my inner child, my inner self, my younger version of myself, exactly that, what I needed back then. And I imagine I give myself a hug. I give myself a loving word, like, I love you. And I'm so happy you're still here. And write it like you want to write a letter to a very close friend of you. And this is a symbolic release, giving you emotions and past experiences an exit, because our subconsciousness stores it in our body until it gets an release, it gets an exit. So do yourself a favor and just write yourself a letter as often as you want. And you will feel, as more as you get in a deep contact with yourself, is easier this blockage, this trigger point can be released. And when you have done that a couple of times, you will see that the letters will be different. Every time there is a more loving letter for yourself. And the second exercise is a crystal exercise. And I really love that exercise as well, because sometimes blockages feels like they are in between us and ourselves. It feels like they are stopping us from moving forward. They are in front of us, beside us, behind us. They are always with us, and it feels like you are unable to move. And so they want to be seen, but we want to push them away. Do you know that feeling? I know those feelings because sometimes I'm a pusher as well. And if we imagine those blockages as a crystal, doesn't matter which size, doesn't matter what color, even black crystals can have sparkling lights within. So if you feel like a big, huge rock next to you, beside you, imagine this big, huge rock as a crystal. And like I said, even if a dark crystal, obsidian, what's the other one? Shungite is also a very wonderful healing crystal. And behind a blockage is always a healing part, a part who won't show us its own magic, which is not against us, but for us. So if you put a black crystal, a black rough crystal into the sun, it will spark. It will show you its beauty. And the same beauty has your own blockage also, which you wanna push away because it's bah. You know, those bah blockages, which you just wanna push away. Place it somewhere. Imagine you would have this blockage, see it as a crystal, doesn't matter which size and color. Put it somewhere you can see it every single day. Imagine it in your living room. Imagine it in your garden. Imagine it wherever you can see it. And observe the sparks it gives you when the sun touches its beauty. Because this is the hidden gifts inside. And every blockage has treasures, lessons, potential, and love waiting to be revealed. And the healing part of it is when we give it a space where it is allowed to be, it doesn't trigger us anymore so deep, because we give them a space. We allow it to be there. And in that moment, when we give them a space, when we allow them to be, the pressure is gone. And then it can unfold slowly, piece by piece. Just imagine you will get a mail and you think it's an invoice, so you don't want to open it, right? So you know it's there, and you know you have to open it somehow. You have to, but you always push it away. But in that moment, when we give them a space, don't push them away, but put them on the table and let them sit for 1 or 2 days. Our system relaxes slowly because we don't hide them anymore. We give them a space and we allow ourselves to breathe into it. And then, when the moment is perfect, we inhale and exhale and we open it. And usually, what we find inside, it's not as negative as we thought it in the beginning. So as soon as we give them space, as soon as we give the blockage space, we give them an exit. And the first push, the first fear can release. And what we find at the end can be a wonderful crystal. So you may want to try that out. Just give them a space, allow them to be somewhere. And the third exercise is also one of my favorite. Actually, all of them are my favorite ones because they are so powerful. So anyhow, the third exercise is a meeting exercise. And I would say this is one of the deepest exercise. Sometimes we have blockages who scare us, and they appear as a very scary or dangerous blockage. But the truth is, they aren't scary or dangerous, but our subconsciousness creates a scary one. In other words, our blockages can be one of our most potential. And our subconsciousness is the master of creating dangerous things, which honestly, they aren't danger. But we have so much fear of meeting our inner self. And if you have kids, you may know that kids always believe in monsters. And like I said, some of our fears and our blockages appears like a huge creature who is very dangerous. But the funny part is, there is no danger. Inside of it, there is a hidden crystal who wants to be seen, who wants to be healed, who wants to be included in us, because it is part of us, not the dangerous part, but the part who is with us, who is for us, who supports us, who holds most of the time the most potential of us. Sometimes when we experienced in the childhood some unhappy situation and we pushed it away, and our subconsciousness puts layer of protection around it. And those layers created at one point in our life kind of a monster. And we had an excuse to push it away because nobody wants to see a fearful or harmful or dangerous creature. So we pushed it away. But we honestly just pushed it away because we did not want to face our deepest potential, our deepest wishes sometimes, our most hidden crystal. So the third exercise is about give this positive monster, this funny monster, this loving monster. Let's call it a lovingly monster. And if we give them a voice and just let them talk, we will figure it out that whatever it says, whatever it has to say, it's made out of love. It's made out of self-protection. It's made out of, I love you. Because if we don't want to experience a harmful situation in our life, we have a reminder in our mind. Do not even think again about that situation. And we place it in that hidden part in our mind, that we have that in that box in our head, which have a sign on top of it, do not open. Please do not open. So every time when somebody else talks about that, the box opens itself. And the subconsciousness brings out that huge monster, like a Disney movie monster, and our inner child says, oh my God, that's a monster, push it away. And we close the box again. But the truth is, those memories in those boxes are always want to show a hidden crystal, our inner hidden crystal, our inner potential, our inner beautiful sparks. So we are helping ourselves if we allow this box to open, to stay open. And that memory or that bad experience, to just give them a voice. And when you have watched some Disney movies with bigger or smaller monster in it, then you probably know that a monster has always a warm heart, a loving heart, and it always just wanted to be seen. And it's the same with your inner blockage. It just wanted to be seen, wanted to be hugged, wanted to be loved. Because then the dangerous part, which appear as danger, which isn't danger in truth, but that layer can melt away. And layer by layer is melting and melting, and what stays is your inner potential, that amazingly bright, shining crystal, who is you, who is part of you, and which just wants to be included in your life. Because most of the part which we want to push away is actually part of our life mission, of our soul mission. Our soul wants to experience that. Our soul wants to live that part. And those lights are always full of love, full of gifts and potential about ourselves. And as soon as we get in contact with them by giving them a voice, by allowing them to speak up, by allowing them to tell us how do they feel, what they want, and what happened inside of them, is nothing else than give us love, the feeling of being seen, and the feeling of giving ourselves the allowance to be as bright and as wonderful as we already are, as we always have been. And it doesn't matter how dangerous it looks like and how creepy it might look like. Most of the time, all they need is just a hug, a loving word, and you will see and you will notice that as soon as you wrap them in love, in appreciation, in honor, they will transform immediately from a maybe huge monster into a loving, open, beautiful crystal. because that's what they are. And that's what you are. Because what appears frightening in the beginning is actually a message of your hidden potential and power. And maybe you want to invite your blockade to show you what it really can tell you, why it is here, how it can you support you, and how it can help you, and what it really want to show you. So all of those 3 exercises help you meet your inner blockage gently one at a time. And as you explore, you begin to trust yourself and understand the true nature of your own fears. And I also want to remind you, I know that sometimes life experiences feels heavy, and the sentence, "Why is this happening to me?" can feel unbearable. But remember, we are all here to learn, to move on, and to experience the full spectrum of emotions. We aren't here on earth just to sit quietly in our chair and avoid life. We are here to ride the waves, the ups and downs, the joys and the challenges. We are here to celebrate what we have already created, to honor our power, and to recognize our ability to move forward even in difficult times. And every wave, every emotion, every challenge is part of the journey that shapes our wisdom. So take a deep breath in and out, and place one hand on your heart and one on your belly, and say to yourself, I honor my experiences. I release what no longer serves me, and I'm open to love, to joy, and to clarity. And remember, you are not broken. You are not unloving. You are listening. And that already changes everything. I hope this episode reminded you that you don't have to wait to be whole. You can start in the here and now, in this moment. Thank you for being here. I would be so happy if you subscribe this podcast or share it with someone who might need it right now. See you next time. See you next Sunday. And remember, you are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to be. Because if I can do it, you can do it as well. Breathe. This is Life, the podcast with Monica.